Been talking about this story for some time. You interviewed a younger athlete who beat the odds.
Beat the odds, and definitely switching gears here. Running, biking, and swimming, Steve Dang did it all as a longtime triathlete. But that nearly all came to an end just a year and a half ago due to a bizarre and deadly family medical history. We present to you the brave tale of a man without a stomach. In Steve Dang's world, there is such a thing as a free ride, especially since he's paid his dues several times over. He lost his father, sister, grandmother, and aunt all before his 30th birthday, and all to the same mysterious affliction.
I kind of lived not really knowing exactly what was going on with why my family was kind of dying so young.
When we first met in high school, he used to talk about how he was going to die young. I mean, that's such like a bizarre thing for people to talk about.
The silent menace haunting his family turned out to be a rare disorder known as hereditary diffuse gastric cancer. It's estimated 1 in 500,000 people are diagnosed globally. Dang was just the 350th confirmed case. Unlike other cancers, HDGC is undetectable. No blood markers or tumors. The only way of knowing you have it is to remove the stomach.
One of the things that the doctor was saying when we were going through this was he was like, hey, you can wait until you have symptoms, but out of the last 5 patients that waited till they had symptoms, 3 of them were dead within a year, and the last 2 died within 3.
So on March 6, 2014, Steve took a leap of faith.
I'm getting an epidural that's going to numb me basically from here.
When the biopsy came back 6 days later, his risk had paid off.
And they told us, hey, you had cancer everywhere. You had stage 1 cancer everywhere, but it didn't go past your stomach. It was fully contained.
It kind of felt like Christmas morning to us when we got that news, because it was like, if we hadn't done this, then we most likely would have been planning his funeral in a year or 2.
While Steve's spirit was ready to start the recovery process, his body had a tougher time getting used to life without a stomach. Ensuing complications forced another round of surgery. After several weeks in and out of the hospital, he could finally return to his life as a triathlete.
For me, it was really important, because if my daughters have it, then I want them to be able to look and be able to tell them, like, look, like your dad went through this too, and it's going to be okay.
The Dangs have 2 daughters, a newborn and a 3-year-old. Both have a 50-50 chance of inheriting the disorder. But instead of worrying, Steve and Kate trust in their faith to work it out. After all, their unyielding belief has carried them this far.
Well, we're in Napa over at Lake Berryessa, and I'm getting ready to compete in my first triathlon since getting my stomach removed.
We don't have a ton of control over everything that happens, but really it's how we understand it and how we interpret it, and for us in our faith, like how that gets repurposed for us to tell like a greater story, and to my daughters very personally to tell a different story to them.
Dang completed an Olympic distance triathlon up in Napa just a few weeks ago, and his ultimate goal is to compete in the World Ironman event. Guys?
Wow. We were talking a little bit about it while watching that story. First of all, diet. Can you eat normal stuff when you don't have a stomach?
Well, it's very complex, and as you can imagine, there's a ton of limitations. And so what Steve told me was how it works is that his stomach feels the effects of both a bariatric patient who just had this, similar to like a lap band surgery, and a diabetic. So which means that his insulin needs to be managed. His body doesn't tell the difference between a spoonful of sugar or 12 cupcakes, is what he told me. And so he needs to eat frequently throughout the day, like once every hour, but in tiny, tiny portions.
Wow, could you imagine that? I mean, you were just looking at the screen, wow.
Yeah, I was just watching, and I was just thinking about his kids, and the chances of them developing something like this is a high rate.
Yeah, it's 50-50. And so with that being at 50-50, obviously they can worry, but they don't find out till later on in their teenage years. Let them enjoy, and they're having the right mindset about that. And the whole thing about this is, his message is to show them that even if he has it, everything is manageable.
Sure.
There you go.
Well,